Daniel had spent 6 months rebuilding his life after the breakup with Emily. He changed apartments, stopped checking old messages, and filled evenings with work. Then, on an ordinary Saturday afternoon, someone knocked at his door. When he opened it, Emily's longtime friend Claire stood there holding a small suitcase. Daniel stared at her, confused. Claire had always been friendly, but they had never been especially close. She looked nervous, almost determined, as if she had rehearsed this visit many times. "Can I come in?" she asked. Daniel stepped aside. Claire entered quietly, placed her suitcase down, and exhaled deeply. He offered her coffee, but she declined. Instead, she looked around his apartment and smiled sadly. "You really changed this place," she said. Daniel shrugged, explaining that starting over required changing something. Claire nodded, then looked directly at him. "I came because there's something I should have told you earlier." Daniel became cautious. Anything involving Emily still felt complicated, even though they had separated peacefully. Claire noticed his expression and reassured him that Emily had nothing to do with her visit. "Actually," she whispered, "that's exactly why I'm here." Daniel waited, wondering what secret she had carried for so long. Claire sat on the couch and folded her hands. She admitted that she had known something but stayed silent because she respected Emily. During Daniel's relationship with Emily, Claire had developed feelings for him. She never acted on them, believing friendship and loyalty mattered more than what she secretly wanted. Daniel felt completely stunned. He remembered Claire being kind, supportive, and occasionally quiet around him, but he had never imagined there was another reason. He asked why she was telling him now again. Claire looked down and answered honestly, "Because I'm done waiting for someone who may never notice me." Her words stayed between them. Daniel didn't know how to respond without hurting someone. Claire quickly explained that she wasn't asking him to choose between two women. Emily had moved forward with her own life. Claire simply wanted the freedom to speak honestly instead of carrying everything alone, with care. Daniel leaned back and thought carefully. He appreciated Claire's courage, but he didn't want their history to become another complicated chapter. He asked whether she was certain about her feelings. Claire smiled. "I have been certain for a long time. I was only uncertain about whether I should say anything." They talked for nearly 2 hours. Claire explained that her feelings had grown slowly through ordinary moments. Daniel helping neighbors, remembering small details, and making people laugh when they were struggling. She admired his kindness long before she considered romance. That realization made her confession feel less sudden to him. Daniel admitted that he had always trusted Claire. During difficult moments with Emily, Claire had listened without judging either person. He remembered how she encouraged them to communicate instead of choosing sides. Now he wondered whether he had overlooked something important because he had been too focused on his relationship. Claire noticed his uncertainty and stood up. "You don't have to answer," she said. "I didn't come demanding anything. I needed you to know the truth." Daniel stopped her before she reached the door. He said he respected her honesty and didn't want her leaving, believing he was rejecting her. She turned around, surprised. Daniel explained that he needed time because his previous relationship had left him cautious. He simply didn't want to begin something new simply because loneliness made it convenient. Claire nodded, saying that was exactly the answer she hoped. Something thoughtful, honest, and genuinely real. Tonight again. The next few weeks changed their friendship. They started regularly meeting for coffee, taking walks, and talking without their old boundaries. Daniel discovered that Claire understood parts of him he had never fully explained. She knew his history, his mistakes, and his insecurities, yet she never used them against him. One evening, while walking beneath streetlights, Daniel finally admitted something he had been afraid to say. He told Claire that he was beginning to look forward to seeing her differently now. She smiled, but didn't celebrate immediately. Instead, she asked whether he was certain this wasn't simply comfort after heartbreak. Daniel appreciated the question. He told her that comfort felt easy, but what he felt for her made him nervous. He cared about her opinion, feared disappointing her, and wanted to know her future dreams. Claire laughed softly, saying those sounded like very inconvenient symptoms of something serious developing. Too, they decided to give themselves a real chance, and without hiding anything from others. Daniel promised he would never compare Claire with Emily. Claire promised she would never make him feel guilty for taking time. Their relationship began with conversations rather than gestures, and that foundation made everything feel steady. Eventually, Emily learned about them. Daniel expected anger, but Emily reacted with surprise. She admitted she had noticed Claire's feelings years earlier, but never believed anything would happen. More importantly, she said she wanted them both happy. Daniel realized the past finally felt peaceful, and greater understanding between everyone involved. Claire later apologized to Emily for keeping her feelings hidden. Emily hugged her and said there was absolutely nothing to apologize for. People couldn't always control feelings, only how they handled them afterward. That conversation removed the last shadow hanging over Daniel and Claire's new relationship together. For both together. Months later, Daniel remembered that afternoon, Claire had arrived with her suitcase and said she was done, waiting. At the time, he had been frightened by how much could change with one honest confession. Now he understood that courage had opened a door neither of them expected to find. Quietly, Claire eventually teased him about how surprised he looked that day. Daniel laughed and admitted he had been unaware. She smiled and said she had waited long enough. He took her hand and replied that sometimes the right person could be standing nearby for years, waiting for courage to speak.